If it's not the fire truck.
It's the car with the mufflers that will not quit.
The woman so angry at somebody on the phone.
Yes.
Is that what she said? You had one job.
She was.
Yes.
She was like. She's like, when's that? So and so. You have one job.
Hey, welcome to Walk With Me by Leading Second, hosted by Brandon and Lindsay Stewart. Each one of us needs others to walk alongside of us in life, leadership, and in ministry, story by story, step by step. In this episode, we talk with Matt Martin about noticing what matters and how to succeed at the right things. So let's take a walk.
Well, Leading Second, welcome back to a new space we've created for you called Walk With Me. This is our opportunity to have mentoring conversations for all of us who lead from the middle. We're so excited you're joining us today, and I am particularly excited about today's conversation because today we have got my good friend, a member of our Leading Second coaching team, Matt Martin, with us.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Walk With Me.
I'm excited.
Sir.
This is a ton of fun. One, just walking with you is fun. So
Exactly. Well, we are out for a walk, literally, and that's what the space is for. You might be driving or in your office or something, but maybe you should consider putting on your shoes, take a walk with us, because we want to have important conversations, wrestle through some of the challenges, tensions, opportunities that come with leading from the middle. And that's what the space is for. And I think the reason I'm most excited today is that you, my friend, have written a book.
I have, and it has been quite
Can
a
you
process.
believe it?
No, I cannot.
You're an author.
No, I cannot. I cannot believe it that it happened. People say they're going to write a book, and then when you actually start writing it, you're thinking, this is wild that this is really happening.
Right.
So-
Well, we're really excited for you and proud of you, and I can't wait for our tribe to get their hands on the book. But why don't we just start with some introductions here? Tell everybody your bio. Best-selling author.
Yeah, so part of my bio is going to lean into what created the book process as well. But man, this here in a few months, Jennifer and I will be married 29 years. Have two amazing boys, a great daughter-in-law, and the joy of my life right now, my granddaughter. She's a ton of fun. So.
Come on. And you're on staff at North Rock Church?
On staff at North Rock Church. We started North Rock with Pastors Jonathan and Alicia, almost 17 years ago now. Been there since day one. So we've seen it all, lived it all, and lived to tell a few stories about it.
Day one, second chair leaders.
Yeah.
I love it. And by the way, our wives are actually here. I don't know if they're moderating, if they're listening to what is going to be said.
They're judging us. Is what they're
judging.
doing.
I'm not sure if you're going to hear from them or not.
They didn't give us mics to hold, so we have to force our way in if we want to be a part.
So anyways, you might hear a little bit from them. I'm not sure. But okay, so tell us about your book. Why? Well, first of all, we got to give the title.
Yes. So the title of the book is Notice What Matters. And the premise is achieving success with the people, moments, and opportunities in your life. And
So good.
It was a year-long process of writing it and getting it released. And we had a great success on the release of it. And now as it gets legs and takes off, I'm excited for it to get into the hands of leaders, people who lead teams, people who they want personal growth. They want to grow in their leadership, grow in their relationships.
Which I have to say, I'm so mad at you because you're actually the whole reason I'm writing my book right now.
Yes.
You got involved in this brilliant program and you're like, you have to do this. And somehow you were the one that turned my 10 years of saying I'm going to write a book into doing it. And I'm right now in the hell stage, and
Yes,
you're in
yes,
the release stage,
I
and I'm
am.
really mad at you.
I am. Yes. I'm going to revel in that moment that I don't miss where you're at right now. It is pretty brutal, but it is worth it. It is worth it.
I
So,
know.
yeah.
That's what they all say. Okay, I'd love if you'd start with a story of, why you even wrote the book and maybe just your journey of realizing things had to change for you.
Yeah, the idea comes from, I think it's born out of a couple places of pain. and as well as also trying to develop and define my own purpose as I got older as well. But one of those areas of pain is Jennifer and I were on a vacation kind of a lifetime, one that we had been saving for a couple years. And
Wow.
and we're there, and we're in this little boutique hotel in Kennebunkport, Maine. And we've been gone about 8 days at this point. And so this should be amazing. And she walks out of the bathroom. We just unpacked the bags out of the car, and she steps through the door of back into the room, and she says, "I'm not going to live like this anymore." And I was like, wow. Okay, so this 8 days hasn't gone like I thought it would. And
Wow.
and what happened in that moment was really it was a pivotal turning point for my mental and emotional health. And I had spiraled would later be diagnosed with anxiety and depression and burnout, even recognized people-pleasing qualities that I had that was really driving me in the ground.
Wow.
And so we started from there, and it wasn't an ultimatum of "I'm going to leave you." It was the ultimatum of really what an incredible spouse would and should do, of saying, "I'm not going to let you live like this.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
miserable. You're miserable. Therefore, we're all miserable. We are all miserable." So,
Yeah.
so that was one of the points out of that really kind of set the stage for this idea. And I really had to go on a journey to begin to notice what matters in my life, because I was doing a lot. And as leaders, we get caught in this idea that if we do more, we'll be successful.
Right.
But I argue
Right.
the fact that you need to notice more, and you need to notice what matters in order to be successful. Because doing more will even bring you some success, and success will lie to you. And it builds a false narrative of where you're really winning and you're not.
Right. I know you're not supposed to do this on a book, but take us to the last page. I know
Yes.
you're not supposed to flip ahead. I do.
Yes, yeah.
But take us to your last line. I
Yeah.
think is the one that kind of says it all.
I do too.
Right? All
Yeah.
the way at the end.
Yeah,
What is
so
that?
missionary, he's really kind of the father of modern missionary movements, William Carey. He made this statement, and he said, "I'm not afraid of failure. I'm afraid of succeeding at things that don't matter." As a second chair leader, if we're not careful, we'll fall into the trap of people pleasing. And again, because we're not sure, we don't have the clarity of what success really is. And when we don't prioritize the right things, and we don't notice notice what matters, then it sets you up for disappointment and for hurt. And that happened to me. I talk about it in the introduction of the book, and that I was disappointed as a second chair leader by someone, and whether they meant to or even knew what they were doing, or we were all in a storm, and a literal storm. What had happened is a hurricane had hit our region, and while, as I say in the book, there may have been a storm brewing in the Gulf of Mexico, there was a greater storm brewing inside of me.
Wow.
And
Wow.
and what unraveled there and what unfolded there really I began to see how disappointment could set in, how my own people-pleasing tendencies were actually driving me in the ground. And I bought into the lie of doing more, and if I do enough and I accomplish enough and I please enough people with
Yep.
what I'm doing,
Yep.
then I'll be successful.
Yep.
And that's just simply not the case. And so I began to live out the premise of, hey, I need to notice more and not just do more.
So define that a little bit for us. The title is Notice What Matters. How is that, just take us into the journey. How is that the answer? Because I would consider myself a recovering people pleaser. I don't feel like I've had the journey through maybe anxiety or depression, but I've heard about it a lot.
Yeah.
I think we all have our,
Yeah.
in the second chair, we've got to be honest, I think, and realize we all can be prone to some of these things, So if that's the ailment, share with us your prescription and why noticing what matters helps.
Well, it's the same old thing. a lot of leaders, especially second chair leaders, feel like this, that I'm winning in one area, but I'm losing in another. And I may look wildly successful over here, but really I'm losing in so many other areas of my life. And
Leading Second Camp is coming up in the US and Canada. We're bringing 3 incredible opportunities for you and your team to experience high-impact worship, teaching, and ministry. Leading Second Camp is designed to help church leaders sharpen their skills, strengthen their unity, and step into all that God is calling them to. And you can join us in Toronto, Ontario on November 6th, Red Deer, Alberta on November 13th, or in the US in San Antonio, Texas on February 25th and 26th. Don't miss this opportunity to grow, be inspired, and connect with leaders from across the country. Register today at leadingsecondcamp.com.
one of the things I think about is, like, you have a God-given, God-designed gift in your life, especially as a second chair leader. And I grew up out in the country on a farm, you could say. Always had animals and tractors and all of that kind of
I
stuff.
dare say you still do, sir.
We'll save that for another podcast.
Can we tell about the goats?
Yeah, we'll talk about the goats in another podcast. But there was a story that I found by the University of Texas football program, the head coach Darrell K. Royal, who is a legend in Texas and Texas football. But he was interviewed, and this was in the 60s, and they said, they was talking about one of his players and his program and how he would do it. And he said, I talked to a woodsman in Washington State one time, and he said if he had 5 minutes to cut down a tree, he would spend the first 3 sharpening the axe.
Wow.
Because he knew the power of a sharp axe. And so one of the arguments that I bring is your God-given gift, your God-given design is your axe. You're making a difference in the world. And what happens as second chair leaders, we try to be everything to everybody, and it dulls us.
Wow.
And so we think swinging harder is the answer.
Wow.
And Solomon actually said, if you have a dull axe, the only thing that you're going to do is wear yourself out.
Yep.
And so many second chair leaders are wearing out.
Wow.
Because they're not sharpening their gift, and they're being all things to all people. And really, they have a specific purpose in a specific lane, but our insecurities won't allow us to step into that fully because the people pleasing. Because I want them to be happy with me. I want them to think I'm good at. And one of the things I break down is growing up like I did, I actually sharpened quite a few axes in my life. So what I know about sharpening an axe is this: it takes 3 things. 1, it takes pressure. And you have to have the pressure of a grinder or a rasp to sharpen the edge. And pressure comes from outside. And like what I was dealing with the storm and the situation, that was an outside pressure. But Jennifer and I, we created a space in our life where we created internal pressure. In 2012, we went through a leadership book together. Every Friday morning, we would sit at a cafe and we would go through this John Maxwell's 15 invaluable laws of growth, and that was internal pressure to get to pressure and hone in to what I needed. The other thing is it takes precision. So you can't just put the axe head just directly to it. You've got to be precise. And so this is where I think a lot of second chair leaders are scared to push into. They're scared to be more precise, because then what if I'm not liked as much? What if I'm not as seen as the guy with all the answers? What if I'm seen as, like, if I have to say I don't know every now and then?
Yep.
And then the last thing is, when you're sharpening an axe, is it always takes persistence. And you never stop. It says there's never a there. I think in my life I had bought into the lie that one day when I am, and fill in the blank, I'll be happy. And I realized that I wasn't. That we laughed about this. If you do happen to get the book, please go read chapter 13's quote first. If I could rewrite part of the book, I would do this. And it says that life is a collection of moments. Notice the ones that matter. And that should be on page 1. It's not, but
That's funny.
But it's that's part of the process. But we're missing the moments in our life that are actually creating who we are and where we're going and what we're accomplishing.
Yeah.
And the goal of the book is, that you not be proud of what you do in your life, but to be proud of who you are in your life.
Wow. A little bit of context, by the way, on what Matt was just saying there. We were just having breakfast and we were talking about the writing process, about how when you're in the middle of writing, you just get so overwhelmed. This is where I am right now. You just get so overwhelmed with the content and the process. I'm sure I'll have my own version of that.
You will have your addendums that you will tell
my
people,
gosh.
please don't read that first. Come back and
Oh my gosh.
please just don't read that at all. That's how I feel about something, if I'm going to be completely honest about some of it.
So let's go a little bit deeper though into the second chair, because I do think in the second chair, well, maybe everybody does this, I don't know, but I know in the second chair we can be guilty of attaching our identity to things that are really unhealthy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe we could just kind of dial that in for a minute. I know for me, hands down, pastor's approval.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Became a source of identity.
Yeah.
What are some other ways that would look for a second chair leader if their eyes are not noticing?
Yeah.
What matters most? Like, how would they identify that?
I will take you to the first line of the book, and it says, we don't see with our eyes, that we actually see with our brains. And I sat down with a dean of optometry of University of Texas, and as he began to say that, I all of a sudden began to realize that we think we're noticing what we see, but actually we're noticing what we've trained our brains to see.
Gosh.
And whether healthy or unhealthy. So if I've trained my brain that my pastor is only happy with me when I am doing X, then regardless of what else I'm seeing going right or wrong in the organization, I'm going to go do X first, because my brain says that is going to create the endorphin in me that somebody is happy with me and pleased with me. And so we have to, some people would say you have to unlearn. My therapist helped me with the idea that we have to rewire our brains, and it is possible. Your thoughts run on trains, as you've heard great leaders say, but they literally run on neural pathways.
Right.
And it creates a rut in your brain. It's funny, we're walking and there's a dog right in front of us, but I bet if we went to that dog's backyard, this dog owner's backyard, that there's a path in the backyard that dog runs every day.
Yep.
And there's a beaten path, and it's worn down. The grass is worn down. It may be beautiful on both sides of it, but it's just dirt where that dog runs every day.
Right.
And my therapist and my doctor, she told me, she said, you have to now pick up the dog and start a new path.
Wow.
And so that was, I had to rewire. It was more than unlearning for me. I had to rewire that when my pastor says a certain thing a certain way, he's not mad at me. He's just irritated at the overall picture, because I'm seeing what I've wired my brain to see, that I didn't do X, and so now he's upset, and so I go work hard on something else. And again, I'm swinging the dull axe, because I think if I swing it harder, then they'll be happier.
Gosh.
And that's just, it's just, that was one of the realities that come out of the last.
Yep.
Really the last 15 years of my life, I began to understand it. It was a lifetime of doing that, but I really began to understand it with the right people around me in my life.
I think too, because the second chair is sometimes hidden.
Yes.
And in fact, we say this in our coaching program all the time. I learned this from Jen. I say this and don't tell anybody I'm quoting Jen all the time. But you're doing your job right in the second chair when you're getting very little praise.
Yeah.
When your pastor's winning and when the team is winning, you're winning, in the second chair. And so we can get really lost in that. So then I think it leads some to seek attention, to seek Instagram follows, to seek applause?
I put, there's a story I came across in my research, and it was Matt Emmons, and he's at the 2004 Olympics.
Yep.
And he is in the 50-meter triple shoot gun thing, whatever it is. I don't follow it close enough to know the exact name of the sport, but he shoots and he hits the bullseye, and he was so far ahead, so far in the lead. All he had to do was just hit the outer circle. He didn't even have to hit the bullseye.
Right.
But he hits the bullseye, but he's waiting on the buzzer and the light to go off, and it doesn't. And when he looks up, he realizes that he did hit the bullseye, but it was at the wrong target.
Gosh.
In that moment, he was a perfect failure.
Right.
And
right.
And how many of us as second chair leaders, we're hitting some bullseye, it's just the wrong target.
Gosh.
And you know, that comes through clarity and conversation, but really just understanding who we are, how we're built, how we're designed, the right people in our lives, the right voices in our lives, and living out the moments that really matter.
So how would a leader know if they're Matt Emmons and they're hitting the wrong bullseye? You know, they're aiming at the wrong thing. It could be personal, it could be in the second chair. Like, what are the warning signs that we're just not looking at the right thing?
Yeah.
We don't have the right target in our view
Right.
here.
Yeah, you know, there's some of it comes down to the simple question of, you know, is it your target or someone else's target? And this kind of goes into the people-pleasing aspect of that is, you know, am I living out? So let me make it personal. And Jennifer and I both say the same thing here, but we are called to be second chair leaders.
Sure.
So when I know that that's my calling, my target gets painted pretty easy for me. We're not wrestling down calling. We're not wrestling down, do I want to go lead a church one day, or do I want to go lead?
Right. You feel secure.
I'm
your
secure
calling.
in this, and so, but what I ran into sometime with this is when I don't clarify the target. Again, it's we create the story of what we think the bullseye is. I'll just go back to the people-pleasing side of that. So I'm going to do all these things. I'm going to shoot at all these things, and I hope they're happy. Well, what would happen if I just sat down with them and said, "Hey, what does winning look like?" One of the best conversations I had with my lead pastor is, many years ago, and we do this every so often now as an exercise, but we've been together so long it's kind of natural now. But I remember the first time I sat down and asked him, because I was running every direction trying to make him happy, which he didn't even expect. That was my expectation, not his. And I said, "Hey, what does winning look like for you? Like, when you look at me and say, Matt is winning, what do you think? What comes to mind?" And he just kind of casually listed off 3 or 4 things. Some of those have lasted 17 years now.
Wow.
And some of them change and ebb and flow and, you know, and look differently. But so sometimes just simple conversations like that can.
But you're not guessing at that point.
No, yeah.
You're not wondering. You're not stabbing in the dark. You have a clear target.
Yes, I have a clear target now, and it brings so much security in who I am and what I'm doing.
I think that's a really good point, because I think in the second chair we guess a lot.
Yes.
I've done this. I've heard so many do this. I don't want to take up pastor's time and ask him, or I don't want to look weak.
Yeah.
So I don't want to ask, I want to appear like I can do it, or appear like I have all the answers, or, we get in that loop so we don't just sit down and clarify the target, so then we make it up. I've heard it argued that one of the things your mind hates the most is uncertainty.
Right.
Uncertainty. And so when you lack certainty, your mind will work to close that gap. That's where we get jumping to conclusions, because your brain rewards you for solving the problem, not because it's right, but because it's final. You jump to a conclusion, and I think we misfire a lot of ministry. When we get into that space.
Completely. Such an accurate statement. And the just again, the same conversations and but why do I want to keep shooting, even if I'm good at it, and hitting the wrong target when my leader, my pastor, my team leader, department leader, whatever it is going, I didn't even ask you to aim at that.
Right.
Like we're over here doing this, and and you went and created a process for something we really don't even do. And again, that would be an example. And I think at a personal level, waking up frustrated every day, a little bit of frustration is healthy. A little bit of, because it should push you to better.
Sure.
But when you wake up every day and I tell my pastor this all the time. He'll say, about probably twice a year at this point, we have this conversation. He'll say, well, hey, how's everything going? You're good with your role and what you're doing. And I'll say, yeah. And I'll tell him, one of the ways I know I'm okay, I says, I'm not having a lot of conversations where I'm fighting with you in my mind. I said, I'm having none of those. I'm not having silent conversations in my head where I'm telling you off and telling you everything I've thought. I said that's how I know I'm healthy.
I've never done that, by the way.
Yeah. So, and he laughs and he looks at me like, so you've done that before then? So, well, maybe, but right.
You just landed the plane for every second cheerleader out there who's on the way home had a full-on
yes, I'm going to tell them, and when
conversation.
You actually build questions that they're going to ask you, and you come up with a really good response, and they've never thought about any of it. But anyway.
So I'm sure by now in the conversation, someone is seeing themselves. They're realizing potentially I'm not seeing what matters most.
Yeah.
I encourage y'all to get the book, and it'll help you really diagnose that. What could a leader do to start moving forward? I mean, let's just first talk about those loops we get in. We get in loops of,
right,
like you just mentioned, it's so funny, arguing with pastor, or we get in these loops. How do we start to break out of those pathways, seeing the wrong things and having those intrusive conversations? I mean, what does that look like?
Yeah, I want to unpack the 5 mental ruts that we get into as leaders, as husbands, dads, spouses, and I had to work through all of those. And then I had a great support system coming out of this that actually my doctor, she put it in terms I understood. She said, we're gonna put together a toolbox for you, and we're gonna help you get past. So when you deal with this again, and I unpack all of these principles in the book as well. But so when you get to this point, you actually have a tool to handle the problem that you're dealing with, that people pleasing, that anxiety, that the bouts of dealing with the feelings of depression. All that, you're going to have a way to combat that. And man, that was huge. A couple of them just quickly. One is she said to name the thought, like don't let it just hang out there. Like give it a name. Say, this is fill in the blank, whatever that would be, and it is not my reality. This is just a feeling. This is an intrusive thought that I'm dealing with, and that's not real. But that could go to second chair leadership. Wow. I just made up this thing that my leader is thinking about me. I don't know if they're thinking that about me. That is, and name it, and then call out reality for what it is. That was one. Another one, it's funny, I don't like to journal. Apparently I'll write a book, but I won't journal. So, the
real.
irony.
That's real.
Yeah. But there are seasons in my life where I just begin to write it down, and it changes. I'm sure there's science behind it. I did not research it, but just write some things down when you're at your worst spots like that. Just write it down, then set it on fire, throw it in the garbage, do something with it. But
I actually heard Brene Brown talk about that years ago. I don't know the exact science, but she talks about how when you externalize something, you can actually look at it more objectively.
Okay.
So think about last night. This is jumping subjects here, but last night on my office wall, I had that exercise right in my book where you had to write down every chapter. I'd put it up on a Post-it note on the wall.
A one-sentence summary.
Sentence, gosh, just.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Just stab me in the eyes. It's just hard. But once it was up there, out of my brain, Well, and quite frankly, out of my computer. Once it
Yeah.
was in flesh and
Right.
sitting in front of me, I actually felt clearer, like I could look at it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I do think there's something about
Yeah.
externalizing it. She even goes so far as to say, put it in a password protected place on your phone, like the place
Right.
where you can say it as
Right.
bad as it
Right.
is.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
as ugly as it is, because if you can get it out, you can look at
Right.
it and you can say, is that true?
Yeah. Yeah. Something I've done 7 years later now is because I'm a pencil and paper guy, there is one journal book that I hope nobody ever picks up and sees. But I will occasionally go back and read it and realize here's the good thing about it. Okay, I see where I was in that moment. Because there was days I wrote down, today is not a good day.
Well,
That was the heading at the top. And now looking back, I realize, look what God has done in my life. Look how far I've come.
Gosh.
Look at, so there is value in,
Yep.
in being able to go back and look at it and say, God is faithful.
Yep.
God keeps his promises.
Yep.
And you will come out on the other side of it.
Yep.
So
Yep.
and then the other thing is gratitude. Which sounds so simple because gratitude sounds soft, but
Right.
really it's strategic. And when I understand that the power of gratitude, because it rewires my perspective toward possibility and toward progress. Like I'm grateful
really good.
for, I'm thankful for. So, one of the things I do often just for the health of my marriage is I'll text Jennifer what I'm grateful for about her. Well, what I'm doing is I'm setting up, obviously great relationship, goals and things in our life, but I'm also setting up the possibility of what can continue to be.
Very good.
Because I tell her, hey, I love this about you. And so the same is true in our work life, our social life, our professional life, all of those areas, our spiritual life. When was the last time you just simply stopped and was grateful to God for just the space you get to live in?
Totally.
It's the same old thing. Be thankful that you're living in the prayers that you once prayed. Even though it is exhausting, even though it is
Totally.
exhilarating, even though it is all those things. But gratitude, that was really one of the pivotal moments again in my healing. Is when things would get bad, I would just say, I'm just grateful that I have a home today. I'm grateful that I have a family. I'm grateful I have kids that love me. You know what? I would just go down a list, and after 6 or 7, I would begin to feel the shift and the change happen. And what I do now with it is I want to challenge every leader to do this, and this is up or down. When was the last time that you told a team member thank you?
There you go.
When was the last time you told your pastor thank you?
Yep.
Well, what would that look like if, I live in my world, I'm going to say 5 to 6 days a week. The statement is either being processed out of my mouth or in my mind. Lord, I thank you for Jonathan and Alicia Moore.
There you go.
Because we wouldn't be on this walk right now.
Nope.
If our paths had not intersected. And so again, it's just, and God only knows what my future looks like. And I'm so grateful for it because of 18 years ago, a conversation we had of, hey, let's go start a church.
Wow.
So simple things like that.
Wow. Well, first of all, I'm just grateful for you, for your voice and your wisdom. Thank you for writing this book.
Yeah.
And I really believe that every leader in the middle would be well served to make this just a part of your devotional life coming up soon.
Yeah.
Because we could very well have developed an alternative target.
Right.
And we're not noticing the right things. I'm really, as you're talking today, I'm really convicted by that script.
Yeah.
And how easily it is to misread. We see with our brains.
Right.
And how easily it is to misread
Yeah.
the moments, the actions of those
Yeah.
around us in ministry. So
That's it.
thank you for that. Let's land the plane, and then I have a couple funny stories
Okay.
to chat about. But what would you say to the leader right now who is where you were on that trip with Jennifer in Kennebunkport, Maine? They're discouraged, they're frustrated, could even have some undiagnosed issues,
Yeah.
whatever it is. What would you say to that leader right now to help them take their next step?
The first one's going to sound very trite and very simple, but don't give up.
Yep.
There's hope on the other side of it.
Yep.
And while I may walk with a little bit of a limp today, not physical, but emotionally, I may walk with a little bit of a limp. The limp is just a reminder of what God has done in my life. And
Yeah.
it is a reminder that God is faithful. And you're not out of his sight. He hasn't forgot where you're at. He hasn't left you alone. And that was really some of the overwhelming feelings back in the day. Just don't, and again, it sounds so simple, don't give up. And then the second is right behind it. Tell someone. You don't have to tell everyone, but tell someone. And have that someone in your life and get the right people around you. And I've kind of summed up the book, and I've got several phrases, but one of them is this. And I believe to live a life that matters, you have to notice what matters.
There you go.
And so just start taking time to notice what matters. One of the fun things I did in the book was at the end of every chapter, there's some questions, and it says time to notice. And there's practical application to go with all of this.
Yep.
That we've talked about. And, my my book is definitely not the answer in all of that, but it could possibly be a help to someone.
That's really good.
To don't give up and to really to start noticing what matters so you can live a life that matters.
I got a fun story to maybe tell everybody, and I think where the content of your book becomes a little relevant for me. So you and I met when your pastors were out of town for the weekend.
Yes.
It was within my first 12 months of traveling. So this is like a dream I've had. Stepping out to do it. I have no clue in the world what I'm doing. I'm just saying yes. God was so kind to immediately give us an open door to be at several churches that year, and yours was one of them. One of the first pastors I ever talked to, actually. And he called me. We had a weekend set up, and he called me and said, "Can I adjust things?" My son, I think it was Mason. Mason was going to be in the Little League World Series for baseball.
Yes.
So he said, "Here's what I'm asking. Could you change things up? Could you cover the Sunday before, but then stay around the whole week, and then the next weekend do the Saturday team day,
team building,
we had planned?" And I mean, I'm desperate for work. I'm like, sure, sounds great. So, and this is like way before Airbnb and everything. He's like, also, he didn't say this. He did not say
but
this.
But it was
and
the truth.
This may not be true, but like,
it was the truth.
There wasn't hotel money probably for the struggling little wannabe coach.
Yeah.
So, I stayed at their house, but I had never met them. So I literally arrive in San Antonio. My first time ever in San Antonio, I arrive to a key under the mat and a rental car, and I stayed in this pastor's beautiful home for a week without having ever met them.
Which is so normal now. But in
Airbnb,
2000,
whatever. No,
that would either be 2011 or 2012. That was not normal.
Not normal.
Not normal.
So Matt Martin was like the
babysitter. I mean
the ops number 2, and he had the task of babysitting the wannabe coach that was in town for the first weekend, which I think half the church had to have been at the World Series, Little League World Series. It was, I don't remember it being a particularly full weekend, especially compared to where things are at now.
Yeah, those days nothing was full. Nothing. The building was not full. The bank account was not full. The volunteer staff was not full. Nothing was full.
So Matt, I remember we're out at a restaurant at La Gloria down at the Pearl, and Matt was really kind to host me, take me around a little bit before he let me go for the week to do my thing. And I posted, because I'm trying to gain like some level of credibility here that this is going to take off for me. So, I did one of those posts, sitting here with me and my new friend, Matt Martin, so excited to be at North Rock Church this weekend. And I posted it on Facebook. I don't think we talked for 10 years after that.
It was straight up a decade. It was a decade.
That post comes around every now and then.
Yes,
that post comes around and we laugh about our 10-year gap in our friendship.
The best question you had that weekend is
no.
is if Mason's team lost, then the Moors would come home early. And so you asked me probably 4 times, hey, did they lose? Did they? I mean, you know, it's like I'm tired of hanging out with you. When's the real guy going to get back?
I did not do that. I
don't remember that. I'm probably making that part up. I really
wouldn't
don't remember.
hear from you or Jen again.
No.
Until you all showed up at our Leading Second camp event.
Yeah.
In 2022.
Yeah.
I had been hearing about Jen a little bit because by then she was kind of in that XP role and all that. But anyways, but I will tell you, I don't think I've ever said this to you, but I will tell you, when you're trying to make it, quote unquote, make it on the road, you live and die by referrals, by people having you back, and I had to be so careful with myself to not develop that scorecard. Right? That if I got invited back, I did good.
Right.
If I didn't get invited back, I didn't do good. Because in reality, what I've come to realize is the scorecard is just that pastor is trying to bring in resources to help where their church is at in that season. And you may not be the resource they need in that season. But I used to get real up in my feels. And I mean, I'll be honest with you, there was a lot of years where I thought, dang, I must have done so bad at North Rock,
They won't even call me.
They won't even call me.
They won't even say hi to me at conference.
and I mean, now it's, I have standing invitation. I get to call you when I'm in town, whatever. But I would just say that everybody would have to contextualize that. But I think it's so easy to develop a different scorecard, and you were actually part of that for me. So thank you for that.
Oh, very good,
sir.
Yeah, it's been fun, and it's again, God does all things well, and where we're at on, now ever how many years later from that first meeting and back in 2012, Jennifer and I can't imagine our life without Leading Second in it. And just the space and the relationships and the opportunities. And honestly, I would say there's parts of being in and around the Leading Second tribe that push me into writing the book.
Wow.
That push me into, hey, there's things that are in me that my voice needs to be heard in certain places that only a book will get into. And so, it's a collection of events, but it's, just as God does all of that, He just does it so well. And I really am, again, we talk a lot and hang out a lot, but for the whole, everybody listening to this podcast, just how grateful I am for Leading Second and what it does in our world.
Well, we're grateful. We're grateful for the friendship and, of course, every open door.
Yeah.
Matt, thank you for your book. Thank you for your voice. I hope everybody will check out Notice What Matters.
Yeah. And there's a lot of resources at noticewhatmatters.com as well. And
you got the .com.
I did. I got the .com. I don't know.
That's a good title right there. If you get the .com.
There we go. We did it on that one. So
I did not get mine.
Uh-oh.
I don't think. I think we had to modify it a little.
Yeah.
Anyways, love y'all. I pray that this space is encouraging to you. I pray that you took a little bit of a walk with us today. Maybe that was physically or maybe it was metaphorically. Maybe we could walk through, some of the real challenges that you feel like you face in the second chair. Hey, we want to hear from you. If there's something you'd like to hear talked about in this space, reach out to us on Instagram. Send a message into the ministry. We'd love to hear from you as well. Hit the subscribe button. We have no set pattern. This is one giant experiment, this Walk With Me podcast, but hit subscribe so you'll be notified of any future episodes. And it is our honor and it is our privilege to walk with you in ministry as you aim to faithfully serve Jesus and hold up your pastor's arms in the second chair. Leading Second, we love you. Until next time, God bless.